Another congressional district where people are fed up with the status quo is Wisconsin's 8th congressional district, currently represented by Congressman Steve Kagan, a Democrat from Appleton. Like many Democrats across the nation, Congressman Kagan has not yet announced his intention to run for re-election. Sensing the anger and frustration of the voters, my next guest, a constitutional Republican, believes the folks of Wisconsin, a key swing state nationally, will follow the lead of Virginia and New Jersey and Massachusetts. Joining me now is Terry McCormick. Terry, welcome to Freedom Watch.
I'm delighted and honored to be with you, John.
Well, thank you. What has amazed me so much about folks like you and me, although my name doesn't appear in any ballot, constitutional Republicans who believe in and preach the primacy of the individual, the concept of limited government, the idea that there are actual restraints on what the Congress can do, and those restraints are in the Constitution, are not welcomed with open arms by the Republican establishment. Are you welcomed with open arms by Republican leaders in Wisconsin, Terry?
I represent the people and always have. My first or my 6 years in the State House were self-term limited, and I make decisions and work on public policy that serves my constituents. I believe that's the right course, and that's the right course for all of the different Tea Party groups and various other Republican groups that have formed in order to protest.
But the leadership of the Republican Party, which I argue is just another version of big government, briefly, Democrats like deficits and wealth transfer, Republicans like war, Democrats like taxes and wealth transfer, Republicans like war and deficits. What is the Republican Party in Wisconsin like? You were a Republican state representative for 6 years. Does the leadership of the party welcome your brand of Barry Goldwater Republicanism, or do they reject it because it's not big government enough for them?
They have been rejecting it in the past. I believe we're beginning to wake up now, but that's going to take the will of the people to enforce, Judge.
Is there a fire in the belly amongst disaffected Republicans, disaffected Democrats, and independents, the likes of which we saw this November in the gubernatorial election in Virginia, in the gubernatorial election in New Jersey, and earlier this week in the senatorial election in Massachusetts? Can you tap into that same vein, or stated differently, is there such a vein in Wisconsin?
There absolutely is. We have lost so many manufacturing jobs, businesses disappearing left and right, that unless we get back to our basics, and that is limited government and the essence of what free market competition is and brings to the table, then we're going to have families that are going to have to move to food stamps to feed their families, which is unacceptable to individuals that work hard, obey the law, and they themselves are constitutionalists.
Is the issue in Wisconsin, has it been cleverly moved from not should the federal government be regulating health care, but how should the federal government be regulating health care? Is that where the debate is, or are you finding that there are many good people out there who believe they should be able to make decisions on their own using the free market, and the government should simply leave them alone?
They believe that the government should leave them alone, and they should be making their own health care choices in a majority of ways. I was approached by a long-time Uniserv union employee that finally feels the heat in his wallet for his pension diminishing. And when we bring it to a boil with basic survival instincts here, you have people awake for the first time. This is no longer the silent majority. The majority is active. They're awake, they're visiting websites, they're doing their own research, and they're not even following the leader in the Tea Party movement. They're thinking on their own. In short, we have our republic back.
Is the stuff that's been going on in the U.S. Senate, the efforts to buy votes of senators for health care, the nonsense that went on in the House Mrs. Pelosi limiting debate and insisting on the federal government operating some sort of an insurance company. How does that sit well with the average blue-collar voter in the upper Midwest?
They see their government for sale. They see bribery as a culture that is eroding how much private property and how much decision-making they're allowed to make in a country, in the land of the free, home of the brave. And they are literally fighting for the American culture and the American way of life. That's what I see, and that's what I hope brings people forward in these elections. I hope we have people getting involved like they never have before, and they look at people's track record. It's so easy during election cycle to say one thing and then mean something else. I hope they look at people's backgrounds, their voting records, if they have any, and whether or not what they say is going to match what they're going to do for us.
Terry McCormick, it's been a pleasure. We hope you'll come back and visit us again on Freedom Watch.
I'd be delighted. Thank you, Judge.